Buenas, buenas.
Buenas, buenas, bienvenida.
Gracias. Un segundo, vamos a darles 4 minutos a las 7:05, porfa. Si no ha entrado nadie, empezamos, porfa, y gracias. Tú arrancas de una vez a las 7:05.
Dele.
Gracias.
Buenas noches, por favor, buenas noches. Voy a dar inicio, por favor.
Adelante,
Mm,
adelante, puede proseguir.
Primero que todo, muy buenas noches a todos. Sean bienvenidos a esta sesión de clases número 6 con la profesora Vivian. En este caso, estamos en inglés con traducción, inglés de traducción, inglés con orientación científica. Es una sesión reprogramada, como ya sabemos. Y voy a presentarle los parámetros para las videoconferencias y estos son que las sesiones se van a grabar para que las tengamos nuevamente dentro de nuestra plataforma virtual. Le solicitamos que por favor silenciemos los micrófonos y podamos activarlo cuando vayamos a hacer cualquier tipo de aporte o consulta. Eso sí, con el permiso de la docente. debemos activar la cámara. De no poder hacerlo, sabemos que debemos enviar una excusa en el chat público del Zoom del por qué no podemos activar la cámara. De lo contrario, serán retirados de la sesión y se les serán restados puntos de la heterovaloración del docente. En este caso, mi nombre es Héctor Monteser. Mi rol como moderador es facilitar y apoyar la parte técnica. Cualquier consulta puede ser realizada a modo de chat personal o general del Zoom y le exhortamos tener bolígrafo y papel para hacer cualquier tipo de anotación. Sin más que decir, profe, tenemos un tiempo de 60 minutos. Le dejo de compartir para que, y le doy permiso para que pueda realizarlo. Todo suyo, profe. Ya puede compartir. Está silenciada, profe.
Thank you. Sorry. My name is Vivian Vargas, and I'm very happy to be with you here today. We are here for our class number 6. This is module number 4, okay? So this means that we have this class and 2 more classes to go, and we are finished with this. And I hope every time you watch the video at home, you have the opportunity to say, I've learned something I didn't know before, okay? So we are going to be talking, this is our class for English with scientific orientation or scientifically oriented English. This is module 4, class number 6. Now, what is our agenda for today? We're going to start with the class instructions. We have the class objectives. We have an introduction. Then we go ahead with the class for 60 minutes or 50 something minutes. And we have a homework reminder. Okay? Let's continue. Class instructions. Remember, get comfortable, but not so comfortable that you fall asleep. Okay? I know maybe you came from carnivals or something, or you were at the beach or something and you are tired, and then now you feel like, oh, like dizzy. But it's important that you are not on bed or something like that, that you are in a place where you can get focus. Understand objectives. It's important that you read and understand objectives thoroughly. Why? Because if you don't know where you're going, then when you get there, you don't know if you got there or no, because you didn't know where you were going. So this is important, that we read the objectives and we know where we are going. And the last one is do not skip tasks. You go, you do your readings, you do your videos, then you do your readings, then you do the forum. If you have to do forum, then you have to do the assignment, and then you go for the test. And if you watch this video, most likely any question you may have is going to be answered, and then you are going to be okay with it, okay? And you will be able to say that you got the objectives. What are the class objectives? Let's talk about them. First, we have explain the role that interpreters play in providing effective communication in marine science and oceanography. We need to be able to know which are the objectives that we have, the role that we as interpreters have when we talk about marine science and oceanography. Then it says, demonstrate a good level of expertise in the specialized vocabulary utilized in interpreting for marine science and oceanography in both the source and the target language, okay? So these are the 2 objectives that we have for this class. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. Now, remember, we're going to check everything during the video. It's only 1 hour for the whole module, but it's your responsibility to go and check all the information at home one by one. So let's talk about the introduction for this class. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to ask some questions. Like, for example, do you like swimming? I like the idea of swimming, but I never learned to swim, to be honest. I know how to do this, but when it comes to do, sorry. I know how to, chapalear acá atrás, like pedal, but then when it comes to this, I couldn't. I simply couldn't. It was awful for me. So I never. I love the idea of swimming. I had the opportunity of doing scuba diving in San Blas, in the islands. I went into Barco Hundido, in the island, in the dog island and everything, but I was holding someone. And I was, yes, moving my my legs, but I was, holding to someone because I wasn't able to do it by myself. Do you take your garbage with you when you are leaving a beach? What about you? I do it. It is important because it's too dirty. We need to take care of it. Have you ever gone diving or scuba diving? I've gone diving or scuba diving more than anything, and it was wonderful. But as I told you, I was holding someone at the same time. Have you ever worked for an environmental company committed to save our oceans? Like, for example, there is one here in Panama called Mar Viva, and then they really worry, preoccupy about helping oceans. Do you imagine yourself working as an interpreter in this field, or you feel afraid of doing such? To be honest, I mean, in my case, not like afraid, but it could be like discouraging. I mean, you could put, tu granito de arena, however, it is not the same because what is happening with the oceans is so big that it's difficult that we can do something about it. So tell me your opinions about it. You can text me in the forum what you think about it or something. Just let me know. Let's go ahead. Let's answer questions from video number 1. Now, in video number 1, we have the following questions that we're going to be checking here so we can answer them. It says, question number 1. Why is so important Panama gets involved in the protection of oceans? What's Panama's commitment to oceans? What was the protected area that made Panama have 30% of its part of oceans covered? And what was the second area that let us cover the 50%? Now let's take a look at the questions and then let's take a look at the video. As we take a look at the video, we will be able to answer these questions, okay? Let me go ahead. Let me go here and open it for us and make sure that we can open it completely. Let me take one. Let me go. Let me do it. Okay. So we are going to take a look at this. I think you can see it already. So let's go and check it. I know, but somehow.
Uniting the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean basins and bridging the northern and southern hemispheres. Connection is at the heart of who we are. Panama is more than 80% ocean, one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet, with a rich cultural heritage that is inseparable from nature. This is why
I want to see if I'm able to open everything. Now I can't open it. And then we are going to go back here. And now I'm going to share with you guys. And I'm going to make sure that you can listen to this now. Can you see there? I think you can see it now. Let's go with this.
Uniting the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean basins and bridging the northern and southern hemispheres. Connection is at the heart of who we are. Panama is more than 80% ocean, one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet, with a rich cultural heritage that is inseparable from nature. This is why we believe it is our responsibility to steward and protect our natural resources, for the sake of our traditions, our economies, our wildlife, and our people, past, present, and future. Not just for Panama, but for all of Central America and beyond. Our blue planet is full of wonder, but dependent on a delicate balance that's facing an increasingly uncertain future. And yet, piece by piece, we can still protect and rebuild and give our shared ocean a chance. But only if we act now. Panama may be a small nation, but we believe in taking big actions for people and nature. We have already established more than 30 marine protected areas. In 2015, we surpassed the A23 target by protecting 13.5% of our territorial waters. In 2021, we expanded the Cordillera de Coiba protected area, surpassing the 30 by 30 goal 9 years before the deadline. And working closely with our neighbors, created the largest network of MPAs in the Western Hemisphere, critical to the survival of highly migratory and endangered species. But we know it's not enough. So with great excitement, amongst a room full of blue leaders, we are proud to once again show our commitment to protecting our shared ocean by expanding the size of the Banco Volcan Marine Protected Area, creating one of the largest protected areas in the Caribbean Sea, strengthening the Greater Caribbean MPA network, and protecting more than 50% of our total marine area. Our journey has only just begun. There is so much we can do together. Join us. Be bold in your actions for the ocean, for our people, for our planet, for our ocean.
How did you like it? I love these videos. I found them so beautiful, you have no idea. Okay, now let's go to and then let's take a look at some questions we have over here. Question number 1. Why is so important Panama gets involved in protection of oceans? Why is it, according to what we checked in the video? It's very important that Panama gets involved in the oceans because we have Atlantic and Pacific. Yeah, from where I am. I have Atlantic and Pacific. We have Atlantic and Pacific. We are more, I mean, our territory is more ocean than land, in my end. So it's important that we get involved in this because through our waters, through our marine protected areas or MPAs, we have thousands and thousands of species going through. They migrate from one place to the other, and if we don't take care of that, then they will get extincted. And then, as we have seen last classes, we have been talking about how we depend on them, and the more biodiversity we have, the more life we will be able to have in our planet, and our lives will thrive. So this is important because Panama is ocean and ocean from side to side. Two of the most important oceans in the world are right here. Now, what's Panama's commitment to oceans? The goal, what was the goal? It was like 30%, you remember? Okay. What was the protected area that made Panama have 30% of its part of oceans covered? La Cordillera de Coiba. Not the Coiba where it is, but there's something down that is called Cordillera de Coiba in the sea. Okay, within the sea or inside the sea. And then from there, you could see that they were able to cover and protect that part. However, what was the second area that let us cover the 50%? That was in the Pacific. But then what they did later to cover the 50% of what they had to cover? They said that they had Banco Volcan, that it was on, on the, as I told you, that's on the water on the bottom of the sea. However, they had Banco Volcan and they extended Banco Volcan. So that was like 2022, I think, that they had already covered the 50%, and they still have to do it. And all countries need to do so. All countries need to do so for the survival of not only us, but of our children that are coming later. Now, let's take a look at the reading one, and let's be very specific. We are talking about marine science, and then it says, when it comes to marine science, what are some aspects interpreters should have knowledge about? Why can we say interpreters are more than language translators? And what are some terms related to oceanography interpreters must know and understand? Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's go to the reading, and then let's take a look at what it has to say about marine science. How much do you know about marine science? Let's take a look at this. Let me go through and let me share it. Anyhow, it's important that you read this on your own, but I don't want to read it. I don't want to read the whole thing. I want us to take a look at the most important things on this, okay? So, what happens? We are talking about marine science in Panama, okay? About oceans and things like that. So, we have already talked about the biodiversity that we can find in Panama, everything that you can find from fauna, flora, and all living things in the country, okay? And the all kind of plants and things. Now, what we need to understand? First of all, we need to understand that Panama, as you know, Costa Rica, and those countries in Central America, and Colombia, that is the only one in South America. Panama shares Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. From there, Panama is on the top of many other countries. I think it's Bolivia. Bolivia doesn't have the way out to the sea. Suiza doesn't have the way to the sea, for example. So let's continue. Now, what are some things that we need to understand? We need to understand the biodiversity, okay? Now, it says here, interpreters need to grasp the ecological significance and conservation studies of these species to proficiently articulate their importance to diverse audiences. So the person who is interpreting here, translating something from one language to another in marine science in Panama, it needs to be immersed in the topic. It needs to know everything, not like everything, but many things about the biodiversity in Panama, so they can, or they are able to transmit this to other people. Marine ecosystems. The marine ecosystems having two difference, because, for example, if you go to the beach in the Atlantic and the Caribbean that we are Caribbean Sea, sorry, we are the Caribbean Sea. You can see the waters are crystalline, are different from the waters in the Pacific Ocean, and you can see it's completely different. And then you can find that some kind of fish that we have there, you don't have them in the Pacific, or the opposite. So you need to understand this, the ecosystems itself and everything, the types of algae, the seagrass beds, the estuaries, the mangroves, everything, okay? And how they're important. The other one is the conservation challenges. Which one is suffering more? For example, we notice here in the city, we notice that the way La Bahia, the bay, is completely, contaminated. They have tried to do things. However, due to the life, or the human life over here, the way it has been treated, you go to Veracruz and you can see how the beaches and everything. So due to the human life, this section of the Pacific Ocean has been very mistreated. So this is important. All these types of challenges are important for interpreters to understand, okay? And scientific research. This is important too. As I told you, Not anyone. It's not that I know English and then now all of a sudden I can be an interpreter. No, I need to have, it says, a fundamental comprehension of marine science principles, research methodologies, and the current marine studies in Panama are important for interpreters in marine science to understand. Let me see something here. That was question number 1. So the question number 1, the answer is things that they need to understand: biodiversity, marine ecosystems, conservation challenges, and sorry, and scientific research. Let's go to question number 2. And in question number 2, we have, why can we say interpreters are more than language translators? Okay, let's take a look at this. Now, what's the role of interpreters? We need to have effective communication, okay? It says, translating scientific jargon into comprehensible terms, because maybe the person needs to interpret for someone who is not immersed in the topic, in the science thing, in the marine science thing, and then the person will be able to understand. And remember, if the person doesn't understand, the other party doesn't understand, then there is no communication. Community engagement, okay? It's important. For example, they advocate for sustainable fishing practices. This is important, okay? People want to go in the boats and everything. Is this okay? In what part of the year is okay? In what part is not? Ecotourism, something that is getting, the boom here in Panama, because people want to come here to Panama, but they want to learn and understand that they have to take care of the system that surrounds them. Policy advocacy, okay? All the regulations that there are for conservation, they need to tell the people who they are interpreting, and then they need to advocate for it. They need to plead for it. They need to ask people to fulfill those promises. And then the last question was about checking some terms in marine science. We have the first one, that is biodiversity. That is, it refers, as we already know, to the variety of marine life and species within the specific ecosystem or a region. When we talk about biodiversity, this biodiversity is talking about the marine science, right? However, when we talk about biodiversity in general, we talk about everything that has life on Earth, and everything that put together makes habitats, makes niches, makes everything with it. Marine ecosystem, we have marine ecosystems, and it says that it's a complex interconnected network of marine organisms and their physical environment, including habitats like coral reefs, mangroves, and estuaries. So that's why you can, for example, have you heard of the megalodon? Megalodon? That they said, oh, see the deep, in the deep, and some people say that it doesn't exist anymore, and some people say it does. They are not, you cannot expect them to see them in shallow waters. So they're said to live. And as you already know, many of the animals that are in there, we don't know them yet. They're a habitat where there is no light at all, where the sun cannot get, they have it. So they have a marine ecosystem over there, different from the one, the fishes over here. Conservation, the protection and preservation of marine resources, species, and ecosystems over fishes. When they fish, and then they have, you remember, for example, right now, they cannot fish shrimp, camarón. They cannot fish shrimp in the waters, in the close by waters. They cannot. It's like veda, la veda de camarón. Why? Because then for Easter, for Semana Santa, then everyone wants to go ahead and eat shrimp. But at this moment, they need to reproduce. So that you cannot fish it or overfish it or anything because they need to reproduce. The pollution is the harmful substances that affect. And I don't know if you remember this movie, what was the name? Happy Feet. That one of the animal comes with something over here, and it's like the plastic that they put in the beers. I think it was like a bird, a big bird, but it had something like this, and it was killing the bird. I think it was a bird, due to everything that we put into the sea, and it's right there. It's not going anywhere. Habitat degradation is the destruction of an habitat that obviously harms the organisms that usually live there. Coral bleaching, it's when the temperature goes up, and then the coral reefs, they lose their colors. I don't know if you have seen that they have beautiful colors, so they lose their color. Sea turtle nesting is when the turtles, I was one at Punta Galeta, and in Punta Galeta, in Colón, they explained to us that right there in their beaches, the turtles come, I don't know the name of the turtles, I don't remember. They come from California, all the way in the Atlantic, and they come to Colón, over there to Punta Galeta. In that area, they come to do their nest, put their eggs. And then they're ready, and then they go back. Seagrass beds is underwater meadows of seagrass that provide important habitats for various marine species. And estuary is an enclosed coastal body where there is fresh water from rivers and seems and mixes with seawater. The mangroves, the coast trees and shrubs that thrive in saltwater environment, like those manglares, and we call them. The marine mammals, okay, as we are mammals, the dogs are mammals, but it's strange because we think of fish, but some of the animals that live in the water, they are mammals, okay. Eutrophication, that is too much, like too much nutrients, and that's not okay. Then we have some others over here that you can check. Okay. Now, the question about the question that we had, like why we can say that interpreters are more than translators. It was answered before, but I want to repeat it. It's not only about putting something in one language and taking it to the other. It's even if that's not easy to comprehend, put it into the other language in a way people can comprehend easily, and make sure it's like you need to fight for the oceans. In this case, if you are an interpreter for this. Now let's leave it right here, and now let's take a look at the video number 2. Let's go ahead. Let me first share with you the questions that we will be asking. For example, it says, what do oceanographers do? What is an oceanography? Question mark. What are some sub-areas an oceanographer can work in? And what are some important research areas for some oceanographers can focus on? Okay, so let's go to the video. And I'm sure you're gonna like it because these videos are beautiful. Okay, let me go ahead and put this over here. Give me a second and let me.
An oceanographer is a scientist who practices oceanography, which is also known as marine science.
It doesn't
Oceanography belongs to
Let me see if I can share this with you. And here we go. There it is.
An oceanographer is a scientist who practices oceanography, which is also known as marine science. Oceanography belongs to earth science, which consists of several scientific fields. As an oceanographer, you study all the physical and biological properties and
Sorry, I'm gonna put it with the subtitles in case it's more difficult for you to understand.
An oceanographer is a scientist who practices oceanography, which is also known as marine science. Oceanography belongs to earth science, which consists of several scientific fields. As an oceanographer, you study all the physical and biological properties and phenomena that occur in the oceans. As an oceanographer, there are several subareas in which the oceanographer specializes, such as biological oceanography, chemical oceanography, geological oceanography, and physical oceanography. A research area for which an oceanographer can be responsible is, for example, climate change, in order to be able to predict better and more reliably climate changes and what the consequences of these changes are for people, nature, and society. The substantive activities of an oceanographer cannot simply be indicated, because this can differ per specialization and research. In all cases, an oceanographer should be seen as a scientist who specializes in marine science. Think, for example, of researching ocean currents,
Okay, I'm going to ask you question number 1. It says, what is an oceanographer? That's question number 1. What is an oceanographer? An oceanographer is someone who studies oceans, and is also known as marine science, or someone who studies marine science. Okay, now question number 2. The question number 2 was, what are some sub-areas an oceanographer can work on? And then, you remember the names? We mentioned, for example, geological. I'm sorry, I forgot them, so I want to see them again. I know I said I thought of geological. Let me go ahead. Let's go ahead.
To earth science, which consists of several scientific fields. As an oceanographer, you study all the physical and biological properties and phenomena that occur in the oceans. As an oceanographer, there are several subareas in which the oceanographer.
Okay, so this is the first part to the answer to our questions, okay? As an oceanographer,
you study all the physical and biological properties and phenomena that occur in the oceans.
Physical and biological properties that occur in the oceans, okay? That's what you do as an oceanographer. Let's continue with areas.
As an oceanographer, there are several subareas in which the oceanographer specializes, such as biological oceanography, chemical oceanography, geological oceanography, and physical oceanography.
So it
researches, such as biological oceanography, chemical oceanography, geological oceanography.
It says chemical, geological, it says biological, chemical, biological, chemical, geological, and physical. I knew them, but I lost them in my mind. Okay, now those are some sub areas, and then what type of research in that? Let's go.
Oceanography. A research area for which an oceanographer can be responsible is, for example, climate change, in order to be able to predict better and more reliably climate changes and what the consequences of these changes are for people, nature, and society. The substantive activities of an oceanographer cannot simply be indicated, because this can differ per specialization and research. In all cases, an oceanographer should be seen as a scientist who specializes in marine science. Think, for example, of researching ocean currents, investigating ecosystems, researching seabeds, or investigating waves. This kind of research is important because the oceans affect the climate system in different ways. As an oceanographer, you may also be responsible for investigating the consequences of melting glaciers and ice caps, as melting glaciers and ice sheets affect sea levels. Another area of research within marine biology is investigating why something lives and where it lives in the ocean. As an oceanographer, physics, mathematics, climatology, and meteorology are important.
Good. I love these videos. I hope you love them as much as I do, but I do love these videos. I enjoy them as you have no idea. Okay, the last question for this video is, what are some important research areas oceanographers can focus on? Then they talk about climate change. They talk about how the defrosting, the melting of the oceans, of the glaciers, how it affects the oceans, and it does affect a lot. That's gonna bring some trouble. And why some animals live in certain areas and what is what they do for that habitat, what's the purpose of it. Okay, and then here we talk in the sub areas that we talk about physical, biological, geological, and I remember you. Okay, so it's clear what an oceanographer do. Okay, so when we talk about this, we talk about, let's take a look at we take a look at the video, and then the reading. Let me check the reading with you for a second. That's something that you can do on your own. And give me a second. And then when we talk about the oceanographer, I didn't put it in the thing because basically it's talking about things as we checked in the video. Now, go ahead. Let's share this with you. Give me a second. Very shortly. Okay. So we talk here about oceanography for interpreters in canon. The same as in the other ones, you need to have lots of information. You need to be related to the sea and to the oceans and to everything. Okay. So you need to understand the marine ecosystems, the conservation of biodiversity, the climate change impacts in the oceans, the sustainable resource management, the advocacy for policy change, and things that have to be new, have to be changed, sorry. And then they need to enhance marine science education to the people who don't know about it, promote responsible tourism for everyone who comes in Panama to the oceans, being Panamanians or being someone, being foreigners, and engaging local communities, trying to convince them of how good it is to, although usually they know more than us about how important it is for us to take care of the oceans. So basically this. Now we talk about oceanography field, we are talking about the word oceanography itself, the currents, water currents, the gyres, the boiling, the thermocline, salinity, tide, erosion, sedimentation, algal blooms, hypoxia, phytoplankton, tiny, the zooplankton, the marine ecosystem, the marine conservation, the marine pollution, the estuaries, the benthic organisms that they live near the ocean floors, the ocean acidification, and the oceanographic research. These are some words that you need to have into consideration when, if you want to be an interpreter in the field of marine science. Okay? Now, what are we doing now? We are going to practice some interpretation. Last class, we didn't have the time to do it because we were up to, wanting to finish certain things. So we didn't have like really time to do, okay? So let's take our time to do this. It's not that we have to do it running. We are going to take the time to read and to do this. I'm going to read the sentence. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to think, and then I'm going to do it myself. It says, for years now, our coral reefs and oceans have been and are dying. Desde hace años ya, nuestros corales están, nuestros corales y océanos han estado y están muriendo. We do not care, though. We keep dumping waste into our oceans by the tons, and we will keep doing it. Aún así, no nos importa. O sigue sin importarnos. Seguimos tirando basura en nuestros océanos por toneladas. Y seguiremos haciendo. I want to make a difference for our oceans, the same oceans we get our water and food from. Quiero hacer una diferencia para nuestros océanos, los mismos océanos de los cuales obtenemos agua y comida. Streams lead to rivers. Rivers lead to lakes. Lakes lead to bays. And bays lead to the ocean. Streams, flujos, corrientes. Las corrientes llevan a los ríos. Los ríos llevan a los lagos. Los lagos llevan a la bahía. Y las bahías llevan al océano. No matter where you dump that bottle of water, it will find its way back to the ocean. No importa dónde usted tire esa botella de agua, va a encontrar su camino hasta el océano. I wish there was something we could do. But wait, there is. There is a way you can save your oceans. Ojalá hubiera algo que pudiéramos hacer. Pero, esperen, lo hay. Hay una forma en la que nosotros podemos salvar nuestros océanos. So imagine the person saying this and the other person saying, and you notice, most likely the person in English didn't say, for years now our coral reefs. For years now, our coral reefs and oceans have been and are dying. And did you notice when I interpreted in Spanish, I didn't say, desde hace años ya. So something important that the interpreters need to keep is the emotion, the feeling. Let's continue interpreting. It says, make safe, sustainable food choices. Global fish population are rapidly being depleted due to demand, loss of habitat, and unsustainable fishing practices. When shopping or dining out, help reduce the demand for overexploited species by choosing seafood that is both helpful and sustainable. Dice, haga, o tome, o escoja o haga elección de alimentos seguros y sostenibles. La población global de peces está siendo destruida, por decirlo así, o está siendo arrasada debido a la demanda, la pérdida de su hábitat y las prácticas de pesca no sostenibles. cuando vaya de compras o a cenar fuera, ayude reduciendo la demanda de especies sobreexplotadas, escogiendo comida de mar que sea saludable y sostenible. Use fewer plastic products. Plastics that end up as ocean debris contribute to habitat destruction and entangle and kill tens of thousands of marine animals each year. Use menos productos plásticos. Los plásticos que terminan como basura en el océano contribuyen a la destrucción del hábitat y enredan y matan miles de animales marinos cada año. To limit your impact, carry a reusable water bottle, store food in non-disposable containers, bring your own cloth, tote, or other reusable bags when shopping, and recycle whenever possible. Para limitar su uso o para limitar su impacto, cargue una botella de agua reutilizable. Guarde comida en contenedores no desechables. Traiga su propia bolsa de ropa o su bolsa reutilizable cuando vaya de compras o cuando haga compras. Y recicle cada vez que sea posible. Let's go to the last one. It says, support organizations working to protect the ocean. Many institutes and organizations are fighting to protect ocean habitats and marine wildlife. Okay. Ayude o apoye las organizaciones trabajando o que trabajan para proteger el océano. Muchos institutos y organizaciones están batallando para proteger los hábitats de los océanos y la vida marina, la vida salvaje. La vida salvaje marina. Find a national organization and consider giving financial support or volunteering for hands-on work or advocacy. If you live near the coast, join up with a local branch or group and get involved in projects close to you. Dice, encuentre una organización nacional y considere dar apoyo financiero o haga voluntariado para trabajo manual o de ayuda o de apoyo. Si usted vive cerca de la costa, únase a un grupo local, sucursal local y envuélvase en proyectos cercanos a su casa. Influence change in your community. Research the ocean policies of public officials before you vote or contact your local representatives to let them know you support marine conservation projects. Consider patronizing restaurants and grocery stores that offer only sustainable seafood, and speak up about your concerns if you spot a threatened species on the menu at the seafood counter. Dice, influencia el cambio en su comunidad. Investigue las políticas del océano, o sea, las políticas marinas o las políticas del océano de las oficinas públicas antes de votar, o sea, de quienes van a ser elegidos. Contacte a sus representantes locales para dejarles saber que usted apoya la conservación o los proyectos de conservación marina. Considere patrocinar restaurantes y tiendas de alimentos que ofrezcan solo comida de mar sostenible. Y hable acerca de sus preocupaciones si usted encuentra una especie amenazada en el menú de un mostrador de comida de mar. ¿Ok? This was it. You see? Yes, you need preparation and everything, but we need to practice this, okay? Were there any words there that were difficult for you or anything? Then you need to look for the vocabulary and everything so you can do things every day better. Homework or assignments. You have the written assignment where you have to do something over there and you have the test, okay? Those are your 2 assignments for this coming class. I remind you, you can visit the virtual library and it can help you do anything that you need to do, anything that you need to work on, or any information that you need to look for, something related to this study or for something else that you want. Okay? Thank you then for being here today. I really appreciate you coming here and you being here watching the video. No matter when you're watching it, I'm happy that you have had the opportunity to watch it. And I hope that next class I can see some of you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day. Hemos terminado. Gracias.
A la orden, profa, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros y bueno, si es permitido, nos veremos en otra ocasión, pues. Bendiciones.
Que esté bien.